I'm curious. You also wrote an article about two of the undrafted free agents that the Browns have to get answers on: Mohamoud Diabate and Ronnie Hickman. Take us through that article and kind of your thoughts. How important this year is for both of them and for the Browns with them.
So the 2023 draft to me was sort of the best in terms of the overall process that the Browns employed. If you're talking about what do you want to get out of the draft, you want perfect world, premium positions, supremely gifted athletes, productive players who are young. And the Browns, with the notable exception of Siaki Ika, who we can probably thank Jim Schwartz for picking, they did that across the board with all their picks. And then they sort of came up with this way of sort of signaling to guys who weren't drafted. They left these roles open at a couple of positions. That year, it was linebacker and safety. So they ended up signing a couple safeties out of Ohio State. They signed Ronnie Hickman and Tanner McAllister. And then they signed a couple linebackers. They signed a Diabate, who was sort of a hybrid edge inside linebacker. And then they signed a player named Charlie Thomas III out of Georgia Tech, who's super productive and athletic. They got through the competition. Hickman and Diabate managed to earn spots on that roster. And then combined with the draft class of 7 guys, they got these 2 extra players on it, which sort of extended the reach and made that draft look that much better. And now we are heading into the 3rd year with those guys still part of the roster. And now Ronnie Hickman is getting everything the Browns are doing with Ronnie Hickman is begging him to take a starting job next to Grant Delpit at that free safety spot. Jim Schwartz has come out and basically said it's his for the taking if he can do it. They signed DeMonte Casey. They signed Rayshon Jenkins, but those guys are more plug and play and emergencies if Hickman can't do the job. And then for Diabate, he's a really gifted athlete. He is a player that has played a whole lot of reps. I think he played 581 snaps on defense last year, just really inconsistent. But again, as part of the whole JOK injury thing, once you get past that and Carson Schwessinger, who's been on the team or who's going to be inked with the team for 4 years, basically everybody else on this team is on a 1-year deal. Jordan Hicks, 1-year deal. Devin Bush, a 1-year deal the Browns already probably regret. And then you have this space for a guy like Diabate who can potentially earn a spot as not only just a rotational guy, but there's a world where he could theoretically be a starter. So if Hickman can earn that starting job and acclimates himself well, we're going to be talking about contract extension for him. And if Diabate can at least, I think he's a safe bet to make the 53-man opening day roster. But if he can really acclimate himself well, there's a world where they're going to talk about retaining him. And in addition to a draft that looks reasonably promising with Cedric Tillman, DeJuan Jones, Isaiah McGuire, and all these guys they've added who are potentially going to start, they've got a guy in Ronnie Hickman who's potentially going to be starting free safety this year, and a guy in Diabate who's at the very least going to be a rotational option and special teams player, who then just extends the reach of that draft and sort of whatever you want to say about Adrian Berry. I think he's been largely average at the draft free agency, and that this is one of those areas where he sort of helped himself and sort of improved his effort on the margins.